LGBTQ plus characters are difficult to come by in the media. In regards to television, characters who belong to this community rarely get portrayed, and even less often are they portrayed accurately. Queer characters are typically written as comic relief and background characters, never having their own storylines. But that's just where these issues begin. The media has an issue when it comes to allowing queer characters happy lives. They perpetuate this idea that queer people cannot be happy, and that can often deter people from wanting to understand themselves and their identity. It also continues the idea that gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender people are not the same as cisgendered and heterosexual people, and that they do not deserve to be happy. This is especially seen in the rates of death of queer characters, considering that in 2016, 27 gay characters were killed on primetime television out of a total of 43 regular characters. There is a disproportionate amount of LGBT plus characters who are killed off in television every year compared to straight or cisgender characters, and it creates this toxic cycle of queer characters having to die and queer fans having to be hurt. Many people in the LGBT community have issues in their lives concerning the acceptance of their sexuality or gender identity, and use television as an escape from their issues. When the media continues this trope of killing off most, if not all, gay and transgender characters, people in the community are oftentimes very deeply affected. It is also linked to perpetuate violence against LGBT individuals, as many people struggle to separate media from reality and let these portrayals be used as an excuse to take out their homophobia and transphobia on real-life individuals.
I've never been able to make perfect.
There's also a variety of issues in television's portrayal of LGBT
I just never
characters.
really liked it.
Typically, these characters are written very
I
one-dimensionally and do not have
I
any
got asked
qualities
out.
besides their sexuality or gender identity.
I never liked.
From this typically stems stereotypical characters who tend to turn queer people into jokes on television. This is because of the way that writers tend to portray these characters in their actions and speech, and how they often have nothing more to say than that they are queer. This can be harmful to the queer community and people outside of the community's views of LGBT people. It makes people believe that this is all a queer person is and that they cannot be anything more than that. It also perpetuates homophobic and transphobic ideologies, and people use these examples as reasons to hate people in the LGBT community. These characters also reduce LGBT people down to their sexuality and gender and view them as nothing more than these factors, when in reality, LGBT people are much more than just these aspects of themselves.
What you said about me. I have to go.
I think is what a lot of young women have seemed to responded to, whether it's Casima's sexuality being sort of the least important part of who she is, and her intellect and her love of people and her fascination with science and the world is way more, it's her, right?
It defines her more than her sexuality.
Totally, that's sort of it's just a given. It's just who she is.
In relationships with men and women, and her sexuality is consistently respected, as it should be.
Additionally, when it comes to queer representation, there's a much longer list of white queer characters and couples than people of color in interracial relationships. It is also even harder to find an interracial queer relationship that doesn't involve a white character. This causes queer people of color to struggle to find true representations of themselves, and can also cause people outside of the LGBTQ+ community to assume that only white people can be queer, when that is not at all true. There is also a severe lack of transgender characters being portrayed on television, a total of only 16 transgender characters on television in the 2016 to 2017 television season. Media's representation of different characters plays a very important role in the societal acceptance of different people, and with such a minimal representation of transgender characters, television is clearly not taking as large of a step as it should be to ensure that everyone sees and understands trans people for who they are, and erase all myths that people who are unaware assume about these people.
marching for that part of me that was once too afraid to march. And for all the people who can't march, the people living lives like I did. Today I march to remember that I'm not just a me, I'm also a we. And we march with pride.